Hello friends, welcome back to part 27 of my Tesla Q3 2022 earnings forecast review video series, in which I am flying through a recap of what we learned in parts 1 through 25. So in the last video, part 26, we went through all the charts. I had to think about what I would do next because after parts 1 through 9, Parts 10, 11, 12, and 13 went through the major sections of my detailed model tab, where I forecast production and deliveries, revenue, cost of sales, and then have cost of sales percentage detail for everything. And I am not going to review all that stuff again. If you want to see it, go back and watch parts 10, 11, 12, and 13. That's how to say that. So instead, what I'm going to do is bring up my desktop and just review the outcomes of those sections. So this is below the income statement, well below on my detailed model tab here. And I'm just going to look at Q3. That's it, because we're moving so fast. So Tesla's total production capacity per week, how many vehicles Tesla could produce per week globally max, has been increasing over time. I've got it at 46,000 for Q3. It'll increase some more next quarter and the quarter after that. Production efficiency ought to be better in Q3 than it was in Q2, and it ought to get better in the future than it is now. So I expect 366,000 vehicle production. I expect a little bit of inventory build, ending the quarter with about 23,000 cars in ending inventory, as opposed to the beginning of the quarter when Tesla had 19,000 finished vehicles in ending inventory, leaving 362,000 deliveries in Q3. That's my forecast, of which 17,000 are for leased customers. I almost called them leased buyers, but they're not buying anything. They're renting for a 3-year period. Okay, so that's the basis upon which we get to the income statement, which I will have to scroll up to. Sorry for making you dizzy. So here it is. For Q3, I expect $20.6 billion worth of automotive sales, including regulatory credits. Another nearly $0.7 billion of leasing revenue. And that makes total automotive revenue of $21.3 billion, another billion from energy generation and storage, another $1.7 billion from everything else combined. So services and other, making $24 billion of total revenue. Then for cost of sales, I've got $14.5 billion almost in for automotive, $0.4 for leasing, $14.9 billion of total automotive and leasing, 0.9 for energy generation and storage, so this is not the most profitable business in the world, and neither is services and other. But I expect both of those to make some money, leaving total cost of sales of $17.45 billion, a total gross margin percent of 27.3%, and gross margin dollars of $6.555 billion, which would be the most in Tesla's history. So an all-time record here, an all-time record here, revenues and gross margins. Not an all-time record for gross margin percentage, because the numbers were the same in Q4 of last year and better in Q1 of this year, actually. Research and development, I've got almost $0.8 billion in. SG&A, I've got almost $1 billion. Nothing for restructuring and other, making total operating expenses of nearly $1.8 billion, making an income or a loss from operations of $4.8 billion. That's a great number, and the best in Tesla's history. Making an operating margin of almost 20%. Anything over 19.2 would be an all-time record for operating margin. Then interest income and expense netting to almost nothing. Other income and expense, very small number, making $4.8 billion of EBT, earnings before tax. Then taxes of $0.4 billion, leaving $4.4 billion of net income as my earnings forecast. That's the GAAP earnings number. So what else do I want to say about this? Here's the GAAP earnings per share numbers. $1.25 GAAP earnings per share. I've talked about these in previous parts, so I'm not going to talk about them right now. If you want to know about these, go back and watch the detailed review. So here's the total stock-based compensation forecast, $0.378 billion. So when you add that to the GAAP earnings, you get $4.766 billion as my non-GAAP earnings forecast. That's the one Wall Street cares about, and there's the non-GAAP EPS expectation I have of $1.36. And that is all I wanted to say in part 27. So, I will say, if you've enjoyed today's lightning round earnings forecast review, click the like button. If you're not subscribed to my channel, why not go ahead and subscribe to my channel? Click the notification bell if you want to get notified when I publish fresh content to YouTube, and I will see you in the next one.